Hello folks and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host Joe Love, here to discuss the final Dynamite before AEW Forbidden Door, which was a regression as far as last week, which was a fun show, but this week was okay. But leading into Forbidden Door, match to discuss on thoughts on the card, and going into after post as far as the Owen Hart tournament and beach break next week. And then from the way it sounds, it doesn't seem like there's gonna be a July pay-per-view for AEW. I could be wrong, but the way it sounds, it doesn't appear that there will be one. So we have much time to build, it seems, for Wembley. And we got the first rumblings as far as discussing Wembley on Wednesday. So again, we'll talk about it all, digest, and give our thoughts and whatever review you guys are here for. Will give my perspective. Of course, I'm always able to week to week, but we'll see how it goes. So nonetheless, thank you all for joining me. Of course, before we do so, if you guys want to, or if you guys just haven't already, please hit the subscription or subscribe button in the corner. Helps out the video and all that jazz. But let's talk Dynamite, shall we? So, Forbidden Door and AEW. So, we can agree that Forbidden Door doesn't have the luster in the way that the previous 2 years have had, for a variety of reasons. Mostly because when AEW was built, and of course when pro wrestling and other companies, you dream match or fantasize about certain matches particularly taking place. So it's like Okada, previous 2 years, he was in a very good four-way match with Hangman, Jay White, who was also a part of New Japan, and Adam Cole. Then last year, Okada faced Bryan Danielson, which was certainly a dream match as well. Obviously, that match, unfortunately with Bryan's injury, took a bit of a hit. Luckily this year they had another very good match in Japan, which redeemed itself. But yeah, Okada, now with AEW, signed officially with AEW. 2 years ago, same with Jay White. 2 years ago was a part of that four-way match. Last year was around the time that Jay White was moving ahead to AEW. Particularly joining Juice Robinson and bringing the Bullet Club Gold dynamic to AEW. Now, of course, he signed with AEW and, needs to be booked better, but he's not a part of the show. He lost to Eddie Kingston in a loser leaves New Japan match last year. I'm not sure if that ties into this. not being a part of the show, but nonetheless. He's also signed with AEW. Will Ospreay, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he faced Orange Cassidy, which was a hell of a match, arguably the match of the night. And last year, faced Kenny Omega in a stellar rematch at Forbidden Door. And it was definitely a match of the night. Now he's taking upon being AEW fully signed with AEW. So yeah, those three are part of the main reason, why, excuse me, why this Forbidden Door, now they're signed with AEW and this dynamic is not quite the same now, which is why in the last few months there's been this brewing partnership with now CMLL and Stardom, with AEW, because this concept, you still have guys like Zack Sabre Jr. and, Ishii, Tanahashi, Naito, still part of AEW, but unfortunately, a number of those guys are winding down. And we've seen them of a number, of course, of matches on AEW TV, so that also is part of the lesson. But so let's go over the card particularly. As of right now, because I found, okay, so Swerve vs. Ospreay, the main event. Great match, Ospreay, won that gauntlet match a number of weeks ago to face Swerve. Last week there was a great promo in between. Then Wednesday was a hell of an ending after that tag team match in the main event, which really added some interest and I guess mystique to this already great match. Yes, the build is not as great as it could be, but yeah, it's certainly there. Then IWGP World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Jon Moxley defends versus Naito. Rematch for title. Again, like I said about Naito, not quite the same, lesser as, maybe a couple years ago, but alas, he and Moxley obviously have history. This is a rematch. Now it's on Forbidden Door. So, kudos there. I will say I saw Moxley after his Bloodsport thing with Josh Barnett. And I was a little like, it's going to be able to make Forbidden Door. But Moxley's an ammo, so kudos there. Bryan Danielson for Shingo Takagi in the first round of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Now, on Wednesday, last week we saw Bryan on commentary for Pac versus Claudio, which is a solid match, solid main event to open up the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Wednesday, we saw Jay White defeat Ray Phoenix in a hell of a match for the opening round tournament. In this match, Bryan versus Shingo, the last couple of weeks they've done it well in build-up And Sunday, the winner, in all likelihood, would be Bryan. This is certainly a dream match in a way still. So, that you can appreciate. Dragon vs. Dragon. Forbidden Door. The Owen Hart Cup Tournament. Winner face Pac next week on Beach Break. So, close there. And next up, Mercedes Moné versus Stephanie Valkyrie. Valkyrie again, no little about, but last number of weeks they've done well in the build for this match, and it should be a fun match. Toni Storm versus Mina Shirakawa. There's a story there simply with Mariah May. And Mariah May, of course, in the Owen Hart Cup Tournament. She'll face Saraya next week. And we know Mariah May is likely going to be the winner of the Women's Owen Hart Cup Tournament to face Toni Storm at All In. So, this works. So, the women's match is very good. Bryan vs. Shingo, good. Sword vs. Ospreay is going to be... I'll get to it more. So, Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr. I like Zack. He's a solid wrestler. Orange Cassidy... Look, at this point, Chris Jericho is more entertaining. No matter what people want to say about his learning tree segments, at this point he's more entertaining than Orange Cassidy. So it's like, maybe a decent match, but yeah. Then the ladder match for the vacant TNT Championship. So far, there's 5. Currently 1 still to go. Dante Martin, Mark Briscoe, Konosuke Takeshita, Jack Perry, Leo Rush are currently the 5 in the field. I like Takeshita. I certainly would, in a way, I'd rather see him win than Jack Perry. But when you look at his field, Jack Perry is the odds-on favorite to win the TNT Championship at Forbidden Door. It's certainly an intriguing match. And then a couple matches. MJF versus Cesaro. It's fair to say this and the World Championship match between Moxley and Naito, I would say, are my least invested matches. Simply because, credit to Cesaro, he's one of the better CML guys, but, I think people were expecting more for MJF on this card. And then a couple matches were added on Wednesday. Trios match, the Acclaimed and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus the Elites, Okada, and the Young Bucks. So they will still be on the card. Young Bucks and Okada. And look, in a way, it's better that Tanahashi is in a trios match, because the last 2 years he has vied for the World Championship, AEW World Championship. It's like 2 years ago, faced Moxley for the interim, and decent match, but yeah. Then last year he faced MJF, which was probably a better match, but you get the idea. And then this year, because Tanahashi again is not who he was of years ago, but still has a name and helping the Acclaimed versus the Bucks and the Okada, this stinging feud does work to a degree, and we know they're trying to build Tanahashi capable, or the Acclaimed capable of being in blood and guts. So there we go. And we got a tag team match for also 0 Hour, as Chris Statlander is going to team with crap, I lost the image. Oh, okay. Team with Momo Watami versus Will Nightingale and Tom Nakano. So a preview in a sense of Willow and Chris Statlander before their match next week in the semifinals of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. So interesting enough there. We'll see. But yeah, so all in all, when you look at the card currently, it's like there are some solid matches. You know, obviously some have more interest than others, like Brian versus Shingo. That'll be solid. Mercedes versus Bakura, they've done well. Tony versus Mina, it's certainly going to be interesting how Mariah May factors in this match. And then the ladder match, can appreciate. So yeah, in the main event, it's going to be solid. But interesting. So the opening segment, which was very good, you know, as far as Dynamite. So MJF was out there. He dressed Buffalo. So right before he could really say much, though, Daniel Garcia, the hometown kid, he was out there. He got a nice reception, being home, and he cut this promo, and they praised each other, you know, talking about their match last year for the World Championship. And in the end, so MJF challenged Daniel Garcia at All In. Now, at first glance, you think, okay, MJF, all credit to Daniel Garcia, but he's not there yet. He's on his way up. He's not there yet. So, the way people feel about this match, MJF versus Henchicero at Forbidden Door, it was a nice reception and unexpected, but at the same time, MJF versus Daniel Garcia would be a bit underwhelming as far as, you know, fan of MJF. So then, right before Garcia could accept that challenge, Will Ospreay came out, and we know Will Ospreay and MJF had that bit of a stare down last week, which got people buzzing, you know, about a potential match for All In. You know, could Ospreay win the title on Forbidden Door, and MJF is the wild card, you know, buzz, but nonetheless, so Will Ospreay basically upstaged MJF, and he challenged Daniel Garcia to a match this week, noticing that he wants the International Championship. Says that basically when he wins on Sunday, beats Swerve for the world title, let's put that title on the line as well. So, match was made. Will Ospreay for Daniel Garcia next week for the International Championship and potentially for the World Championship next week. So, Ospreay left. MJF was in the corner. He did not look too pleased. So then, right after we got to Daniel Garcia, a mentioned challenge by MJF, and Daniel Garcia was like, you know what, man? That's a hell of an opportunity. You should be working on that for next week. So it's like, yeah, the challenge, but it wasn't made official, and etc. And MJF just left without an answer from Garcia. So, I'm sure some were buzzing, including me, probably had the idea that Ospreay was going to be in the main events at All In. And there's still potential for it, but after Wednesday and after, I think we all have a sneaky feeling that Ospreay. So MJF is going to win on Sunday, and potentially cost Ospreay the main events on Sunday, or he gets involved next week in that match at Beach Break and starts the setup and the build up for Ospreay versus MJF at Wembley, because that would be a huge match. Ospreay, you know, because I feel bad for Roddy Strong, because Ospreay came in, faced Takeshita at Revolution, faced Ryan Nelson at Dynasty, faced Roddy then at Double or Nothing for the title, is going to face Swerve at Forbidden Door, and then likely going to face MJF at Wembley, which would be a hell of a match. I'm sure some were expecting Ospreay to be somewhere different, but you wonder. So, credit, Adam Cole is walking again. That's a great thing. But again, the more the weeks go on, last time we saw Adam Cole was at Double or Nothing. So, we're just like, as the weeks go on, we don't know how healthy Adam Cole is. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Cole was healthy, because again, MJF dropped him on his head at Double or Nothing in his return. So, it's totally possible that we were going to get Adam Cole versus MJF either on Sunday at Forbidden Door or potentially at Wembley. But with Cole so injured, it appears, we're going to get MJF versus Ospreay, which we can't complain about. But yeah, so that's my 2 cents on the subject. But nonetheless, flat and open. The rest of the show was so-so. So then we had Swerve basically saying, well, Ospreay needs to keep his head together, making challenges when he hasn't even beaten Swerve yet. Saying he needs to get his head together for their tag team match later up in the show. So, yeah. So, then we had the BCC versus LIJ. So, Moxley, Claudio, and Yuta versus Shingo's faction. Him, I believe, Hiromu Tanahashi, as in, and then some other masked fella, sorry, didn't catch his name, but, so, match was okay. I mean, originally when I saw this match, I thought, okay, well, Yuta's got to be taking the pin. Alas, it didn't go that way. It was a DQ. So, what happened? So yeah, the match ended in DQ. Moxley threw a chair, and that was basically there from there. The main stuff happened after the match. So, we heard Naito's music hit, and then Naito came out in a suit, and at the same time dressed to fight and compete against Moxley. And they had bits of a scuffle up the ramp and the stage area, so they took each other out ahead of Forbidden Door. That was their sense of build on the show. Then Shingo still in the ring, Brian was on commentary. So last week after a match Shingo had against AR Fox on Rampage, Brian offered his hand and, handshake, but Shingo shunned him, and, a bit of disrespect, going into Forbidden Door. And then in the ring Wednesday, they had another face-to-face, and yeah, looks like it'll be a solid match between the two on Wednesday or Sunday at Forbidden Door between Brian and Shingo. Jay White versus Ray Phoenix. Heck of a match in the opening round of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. So, saw a match here. So, Phoenix did a tightrope kick followed with a frog splash, etc. White seemed to attack the neck of Phoenix. A DT followed with a brainbuster. They end up counting each other back and forth until finally Jay White hit a Blade Runner for the 1, 2, 3. So, Christian Cage and the Patriarchy have made their intention known that they want the Trios Championships. Now, it is interesting because Buddy Matthews got quote-unquote injured. And then taken out by the patriarchy. So, even though they beat the Bang Bang Gang, some prefer Bullet Club Gold, but the Bang Bang Gang, between Jay White, Gun Club, and Juice Robinson. So, even though House Black are supposed to be #1 contenders, Buddy Matthews quote-unquote injured. And saw the news yesterday, and congrats to them, as apparently Buddy Matthews and Rhea Ripley tied the knot, and they're married. So, congrats to them, congrats to Rhea, congrats to Buddy, both of them. Hope the best of the best, as certainly Rhea, recuperating from an injury as well. So, yeah, but congrats to them. So after we heard Christian Cage and the Patriarchy, their music, as they were tried out there. And yes, I get it. There's no real baby faces in this rivalry. But it got me thinking on a few things. First, so the Bang Bang Gang and the Patriarchy had a bit of words exchanged back and forth, and it's certainly interesting to see two heels factions kind of sage off against each other. Certainly unique. And I know people are complaining about the trios division, and me a bit as well. But when you look at it now, so you got House of Black when Buddy comes back. You got the Luring Tree of sorts, or a trio. You got the Unified Trios Champions. And you also have, the Elites as well. But you also have now Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata. So, yeah. So, the other thing that got me thinking, because after we saw the Young Bucks, they were backstage, they talked about their loss. First, the Acclaim last week said that Nick Jackson, in particular Nicholas, talked about his temperament. Said that next time when the gold is on the line, things will be different. Then, so, they mentioned that the wild card will be their decision next week with Jeff Jarrett against Jeff Jarrett. So, the reason why I said that thing got me thinking with Christian Cage and Patriarchy, I know the leading candidate is Hangman Page. And, Hangman would make sense. Tied with the Elite. Last we saw him was a heel. But he could basically be a heel, sign with the Elite when he comes back. And, potentially be that fifth guy for the Elite and Blood Guts. However, so weeks ago, after Christian Cage lost to Swerve at Double or Nothing, Christian voiced how he wants another chance of the World Championship and hope for the Bucks to make it right. And he said that the Bucks said at the time that they'll make it worth their while or see what they can do. So, and leading up to Swerve, the match with Swerve, Christian Cage, was in the good graces of the Elite. So, even though it is most likely to be Hangman, thing is, so Christian Cage, even though the Patriarchy has voiced their intentions for the Trios Championships, however, we saw that face-to-face a bit with Christian Cage and Jay White. Bit of words. Jay White, the winner of next week's match between Jeff Jarrett and the Wildcard, faced Jay White in the next round of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Jay White, of course, is one of the fourths of the Trios Championships. Christian Cage would also make a lot of sense because of his ties with the Elite, and against Jay White, Christian Cage could beat Jay White, or you could get cost by Jay White, and then Christian Cage could return the favor potentially against Jarrett. It's a thought. I would think in all likelihood Bryan Danielson is going to face either Jay White or the wild card in the finals of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. So, and yeah, Christian still wants one more crack at the world title. So, we'll see. It's a thought. But, even though all people are pointing to Hangman, Christian Cage, I could definitely see him as well. So, we'll see. Speaking of the Bucks, so we had the Acclaimed interrupted by the Bucks and Okada. Okada didn't cut off the mic this time. As instead, he said, and quote, "Scissor me, bitch." That's what Okada said, and because bitch is the new word for Okada, the main word for Okada. So, funny stuff there. And so the Elite challenged the three, including Billy Gunn, to a match at Forbidden Door. But Billy Gunn said he knows people in high places and says he knows the president. So they shared a video. Hiroshi Tanahashi then voiced that he will be the tag team partner of the Acclaimed come Sunday. Called himself Scissor Ace. So, yeah, Trios match Sunday. Young Bucks and Okada, they weren't going to miss the show, versus Tanahashi and the Acclaimed. So, definitely makes a number of sense. Trios women's match. Toni Storm, Mirai May, and Mina Shirakawa for Saraya, Anna Jay, and Harley Cameron. Some match. So, interesting tidbits here. So, Mirai May originally came out with Toni Storm. And then she came back to the tunnel and did the entrance, dancing, etc. with Mina. So, there were times where Mariah was conflicted during this match, as in, there were times where she would go for a tag, but she would be conflicted on who to tag, and yeah, etc. In the end, so Mina won with a driver on Harley Cameron, got the win. The big thing was after, so after they were celebrating, and Toni was dancing with Mirai May. And obviously Mina was not happy, as you know, she's facing Toni on Sunday. So Mina grabbed a champagne bottle and went to hit Toni Storm over the head with it, and instead it cracked Mirai May, knocked her out, and you know, Mina was distraught. Toni was pissed. So interesting how this will align towards Sunday, because again, Mina is kind of that in-between vessel to help prolong this feud between Toni and Mariah eventually for the match at All In. So we'll see how it goes Sunday, if how Mariah's gonna fare as these two face off. The Learning Tree. We're out there. So, solid segment in a weird way. So, apparently Brian Keith is hurt. So, there was an attack on Saturday, Collision, on Brian Keith, and Storm is hurt. So, the bad apple of sorts is hurt. So, Bill was out there smiling, of course, Jericho. Brian Keith was certain with his arm in sling. So, after this was a unique segment in a sense. So apparently Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shabbat made a challenge to the Learning Tree for Sunday for Forbidden Door. And since Brian Keith was hurt, Jericho then showed a video of who they thought was going to be the tag team partner, Minoru Suzuki, but instead it was made into a challenge by Suzuki for the FTW Championship and Chris Jericho. So, interesting there. So, do we get Jericho for Suzuki then on Sunday? For that would be fine with, certainly, because we already have a trios match on the show. So, it's like, why another? Which I wouldn't mind. besides, with Suzuki, certainly a FTW rules match would certainly be better for him in a sense. So yeah. And then the main event, Swerve first and Ospreay versus Gates of Agony. I get it why the level for this match was a bit deflating because, can they go exist? Going in the Forbidden Door. And, we haven't seen Swerve beat Brian Cage a number of weeks ago. And it felt like Swerve versus the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage was over with. But instead, they slide for this match. It wouldn't be surprising if they did this match because Jacob Fatu made his debut on SmackDown for Friday. But nonetheless, we got this match. It was okay in the end. So Ospreay won with a hidden blade, and after he took the world title again from Swerve, but Swerve then cut down Ospreay with a kick to the knee and then a vicious, kill shot of sorts, or, house call. And there goes Swerve, then puts his world title up, and he looks, Swerve as a tweener. It's definitely better when he's that in between. Not the full-fledged face. It's very good as Swerve and Nana Soto or Ospreay tend the show and going to Forbidden Door. So yeah, I would definitely say the show was mid, okay, but alas, getting Forbidden Door on Sunday, so we'll see about that. But yeah, guys, this Dynamite, solid or okay. Forbidden Door looks solid. A couple matches have key interest, I would say, from my perspective, but nonetheless, we got some good wrestling on Sunday, so to look forward to. But anyways, guys, that's a review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a thumbs up. Comment down below if you want to. Like, of course, subscribe if you guys are new. My name is HO2Love. See you guys. So, Forbidden Door is Sunday. So, potentially Monday, Tuesday, get to review up for you guys. But nonetheless, thank you guys all. See you guys then. But for now, peace.